First Contact Deception. The United Earth ship Valiant cut through the darkness of deep space, its reinforced hull gleaming under the light of distant stars. Captain Rena Chen stood on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the massive viewscreen that dominated the forward wall. 20 years of service in the United Earth Defense Force had taught her to trust her instincts, and right now those instincts were telling her something wasn't right. "Status report on the signal, Lieutenant Park," Chen asked, her voice calm despite the unease building in her chest. Lieutenant Sora Park, the ship's communications specialist, frowned at her console. "Still the same, Captain." Repeating mathematical sequence followed by what appears to be an invitation. Translation algorithms suggest they're requesting diplomatic contact. Chen nodded slowly, studying the strange star system displayed on the viewscreen. The Valiant had been on a routine survey mission when they detected the signal emanating from the fourth planet of an unremarkable G-type star. Humanity had expanded throughout their solar system and established colonies on nearby star systems, but in the centuries since achieving faster-than-light travel, they had yet to encounter intelligent alien life. Until now. "Dr. Okafor, your assessment." Chen turned to the ship's exobiologist, who had been analyzing the limited data they had on the planet's biosphere. Dr. Nkeoma Okafor looked up from her station, excitement evident in her eyes despite her professional demeanor. "The atmospheric composition is remarkably Earth-like, Captain. Nitrogen-oxygen mix with trace elements we expect from a habitable world. Surface scans show extensive structures consistent with a technological civilization. If I had to guess, I'd say they're at least as advanced as we are, possibly more." Commander Alejandro Diaz, Chen's executive officer and oldest friend, moved to stand beside her. "Could be the first contact humanity has been waiting for," he said quietly. "Or it could be a trap." Chen's lips twitched in a half-smile. "Always the optimist, Alex." "One of us has to be the cautious one," he replied. After a moment's consideration, Chen made her decision. "Lieutenant Park, prepare the standard first contact package. Mathematical proofs, basic language primers, cultural overview. Commander Diaz, bring us into orbit, but maintain defensive posture. Shields up, weapons on standby but power levels minimal. Let's not appear hostile." "And if they are hostile, Captain?" Diaz asked. Chen's expression hardened. "Then we show them exactly what humanity is capable of." The Valiant approached the alien world cautiously, broadcasting the first contact package on all frequencies. The response came almost immediately, a similar package containing what appeared to be a warm welcome, along with imagery of the alien species. The Arctians, as they called themselves, were vaguely humanoid but with iridescent blue-green skin, 4 arms, and large, expressive eyes that dominated their faces. "They're inviting us to send a delegation to the surface," Park announced, surprise evident in her voice. "They've transmitted coordinates for what appears to be a diplomatic facility." Chen exchanged glances with Diaz. This was happening faster than expected. "Prepare a shuttle," she ordered. "I'll lead the delegation myself. Commander Diaz, you have the ship. If we lose contact, you know the protocols." "Captain, I must object," Diaz said firmly. "Regulations state that the ship's commanding officer should not." "Noted and overridden," Chen interrupted. "This is first contact, Alex. They need to see we're taking this seriously. Besides," she added with a tight smile, "I've always wanted to make history." The shuttle descended through the planet's atmosphere, carrying Captain Chen, Dr. Okafor, Lieutenant Park, and a security detail led by Lieutenant Commander Marcus Wong. Through the viewport, they watched as an alien cityscape came into view, gleaming spires and sweeping architecture that spoke of an advanced civilization. "Beautiful," Okafor whispered. "Their aesthetic sense is remarkable." The shuttle landed on a platform extending from a massive structure that spiraled toward the sky. Waiting for them was a delegation of Arctians, led by one wearing elaborate adornments that Chen assumed indicated leadership status. "Welcome, humans," the lead Arctian spoke through a translation device. I am High Counselor Zexar. We have long anticipated contact with other intelligent species. Chen stepped forward. I am Captain Reina Chen of the United Earth Ship Valiant. We come in peace and friendship, eager to establish relations between our peoples. The diplomatic reception that followed was elaborate. The Arxians proved to be gracious hosts, showing the human delegation through halls filled with art and technology that impressed even the most seasoned officers. They shared information about their society, their history, and their scientific achievements. But as the hours passed, Chen noticed discrepancies, small things at first. Arxian officials who seemed to appear and disappear at odd moments, sections of the building they weren't allowed to enter, and subtle signals exchanged between their hosts that weren't translated. During a brief moment alone with her team, Chen voiced her concerns. Something's off. They're being too accommodating, too perfect. Dr. Okafor, what do you think? The exobiologist nodded slowly. Their biology doesn't quite match what we'd expect from a species evolved on this planet. And have you noticed? Despite all the information they've shared, they've asked very few questions about us. Because they already know, Wang said grimly. They've been studying us. The realization sent a chill down Chen's spine. Lieutenant Park, contact the Valiant immediately. Inform Commander Diaz. Before she could finish, the doors sealed shut around them with a hiss. The room's atmosphere began to change as a pale mist filled the air. Gas, Wang shouted, reaching for his sidearm. Chen activated her emergency breather, a small device that covered her nose and mouth, filtering the air. Defensive positions. Park, get that signal out. Lieutenant Park worked frantically at her communicator while Wang and his security team took positions around the civilians. The doors burst open, and Arxian security forces poured in, wielding weapons that pulsed with energy. Captain Chen, High Counselor Zexar entered behind his forces, his translator still functioning. Please do not resist. Your ship has already been contained. Chen's blood ran cold. What have you done? Nothing yet, Zexar replied. Your vessel is currently surrounded by our defense fleet, which emerged from hyperspace moments ago. They were quite surprised. A gesture that might have been a smile crossed his alien features. You see, Captain, we've been observing your species for some time. Your expansionist tendencies, your technological growth rate, your adaptability. These make you a potential threat. We needed to assess you directly. By deceiving us. Chen demanded, mind racing through options. The Valiant was a powerful ship, but if what Zexar said was true, they were outnumbered. Deception is preferable to conflict, Zexar said calmly. Though I fear conflict may be inevitable now. Your vessel appears to be refusing our demands for surrender. Quite impressive. Actually. A sudden explosion rocked the building, causing even the Arxians to stumble. Chen used the momentary distraction to act. Now, she shouted, and Wang's team moved with practiced precision. The security team deployed flashbangs specifically designed for their mission, bright enough to disorient, but calibrated not to permanently harm. The Arxian guards reeled back, their large eyes particularly vulnerable to the intense light. Chen activated her emergency beacon as she grabbed a stunned Zexar. The Valiant isn't just a survey ship, Counselor. Perhaps you should have researched us more thoroughly. High above, in orbit around the planet, the UES Valiant had indeed been surrounded by a fleet of Arxian vessels that materialized from hyperspace. But Commander Diaz hadn't been idle during the diplomatic mission. He'd had the ship's sensors running continuous deep scans, and the engineering team had been analyzing Arxian technology from the moment they entered the system. When the Arxian fleet appeared, demanding surrender, Diaz had one response. Activate the Prometheus Protocol. The Valiant's seemingly conventional hull began to transform. Panels shifted, revealing weapon systems that had been hidden in plain sight. The ship's reactor core pulsed as it channeled power to systems that, officially, didn't exist on a survey vessel. As the Arxian fleet opened fire, the Valiant's experimental quantum shields absorbed the first barrage. Then, it returned fire. On the planet's surface, Chen and her team fought their way back to the shuttle, dragging the captured High Counselor with them. "Your deception has cost both our peoples a chance at peaceful relations," Chen told him as they reached the shuttle. "We came to meet new friends, but we prepared for new enemies." As the shuttle lifted off, breaking through the atmosphere toward the battle raging in orbit, Chen could only hope that the Valiant had survived long enough for them to return. What she saw when they cleared the clouds took her breath away. The Valiant was at the center of a firestorm, its advanced weapons carving through Archean vessels with surgical precision. But it was not alone. 3 more human ships had dropped out of FTL travel, their hulls bearing the insignia of the United Earth Defense Force's Rapid Response Fleet. The odds had just changed dramatically. Humanity unleashed. The shuttle carrying Captain Chen and her team approached the Valiant through a gauntlet of weapon fire and debris. In the cockpit, Lieutenant Commander Wang expertly navigated the treacherous path, his face illuminated by the flashes of exploding Archean vessels. "Valiant, this is Captain Chen," she transmitted, requesting emergency docking. "We have a high-value asset and critical intelligence." "Captain." Commander Diaz's voice came through with obvious relief. "Docking Bay 2 is clear. We're providing cover fire." The shuttle slipped into the Valiant's docking bay, just as another wave of Archean vessels moved to intercept. Once aboard, Chen wasted no time. With security personnel escorting the captive High Counselor Zexar, she made her way to the bridge. The bridge was a controlled chaos of activity when Chen arrived. Damage reports scrolled across multiple screens, while tactical officers coordinated with the newly arrived Earth vessels. Commander Diaz turned from the main view screen, his face showing both relief and tension. "Captain on deck," he announced, and despite the battle raging around them, the bridge crew stood at attention for a brief moment. "Status report," Chen demanded, moving to her command chair. Diaz gestured to the tactical display. "The Archean fleet outnumbers us 7-1, but they weren't expecting our reinforcements. The Prometheus Protocol gave us the edge we needed until the cavalry arrived." The Seoul, Nairobi, and Cairo dropped out of FTL, just as things were getting interesting. Chen nodded, studying the battle formations. The 4 human vessels had formed a defensive perimeter, their advanced weapon systems keeping the numerically superior Archean fleet at bay. But she could see the strategy wouldn't work forever. "And our prisoner?" she asked, nodding toward Zexar, who was being held at the rear of the bridge. "Security has confirmed he's their equivalent of an admiral," Diaz reported. "Apparently, their High Counselor role combines military and diplomatic authority." Chen approached Zexar, her expression hard. "You miscalculated, Counselor. You thought we were just explorers, easy prey for your ambush." Zexar's large eyes blinked slowly. "We underestimated your defensive capabilities, yes, but you are still outnumbered. This battle is merely delayed, not prevented." "Lieutenant Park," Chen called, "open a channel to Admiral Kowalski on the Cairo." The view screen shifted to show the stern face of Admiral Helena Kowalski, commander of the Rapid Response Fleet. "Captain Chen, good to see you alive. Your data burst from the surface was most illuminating." "Admiral, I have a proposal," Chen said. "The Archeans sought to test us. I suggest we show them exactly what they're dealing with." A rare smile crossed Kowalski's face. "Operation Thunderbolt." "Precisely," Chen confirmed. "We have their commander. Let's demonstrate why humanity has survived every challenge it's ever faced." Kowalski nodded. "Initiating now." "Good luck, Captain." The connection ended, and Chen turned back to Zexar. "You should watch this carefully, Counselor. Consider it an education." On the tactical display, the 4 human vessels suddenly broke formation, accelerating in different directions. The Archean fleet, momentarily confused by the unexpected maneuver, split their forces to pursue. "Quantum link established with all vessels," Lieutenant Park announced. "Synchronization at 100%. "Execute," Chen ordered. At that precise moment, all 4 human ships activated a technology the Arctians had never encountered before. The quantum entanglement drives, humanity's greatest technological achievement, created a linked field between the vessels. The space between them warped visibly, creating what appeared to be a massive energy web. The Arctians are attempting to retreat, Dias reported, unable to keep the satisfaction from his voice. Too late, Chen replied. The energy web expanded rapidly, engulfing the nearest Arctian vessels. Within the field, the laws of physics became malleable as the quantum-entangled human ships manipulated spacetime itself. Arctian weapons failed as their energy dissipated into subspace. Their engines stalled as propulsion systems encountered contradictory physical laws. In the span of 3 minutes, 27 Arctian warships were effectively neutralized without firing a single shot. Zexar watched in stunned silence, his iridescent skin paling to a sickly blue. "This is not possible," he finally said. "Such technology. We thought your species was still developing basic warp theory." Chen smiled coldly. "A common mistake. You see, Counselor, humanity has faced extinction many times in our history. Natural disasters, our own wars, environmental collapse. Each time, we've adapted. We've survived. That's why our ships don't just carry weapons. They carry innovations born from the edge of annihilation." The remaining Arctian vessels had halted their attack, clearly reassessing the situation. "They're hailing us," Park announced. "On screen," Chen ordered. An Arctian commander appeared, his posture noticeably different from the confident bearing Zexar had displayed earlier. "Human vessels, we request cessation of hostilities and the return of High Counselor Zexar." Chen stepped forward, ensuring she was visible in the transmission. "Your fleet entered our space without warning. You attempted to capture a United Earth vessel under the pretense of diplomatic relations. These are acts of war. We sought only to assess a potential threat," the commander replied. "Our intelligence suggested your species would soon pose a significant danger to galactic stability. By attacking us, you've created the very enemy you feared," Chen said. "However, humanity does not desire war. We offer terms: immediate withdrawal of all Arctian forces from this system, full disclosure of all intelligence gathered on human settlements, and a formal apology for this unprovoked aggression." The Arctian commander conferred with others off-screen before responding. "And High Counselor Zexar?" Chen glanced at their prisoner. "He will be returned once our terms are met and a proper diplomatic framework, a genuine one this time, is established." After a tense negotiation, the Arctians eventually agreed to Chen's terms. As the remaining Arctian vessels prepared to withdraw, Zexar requested a private word with the captain. In the conference room, under heavy guard, the High Counselor seemed diminished, his earlier arrogance replaced with something like respect. "You could have destroyed our fleet," he said. "Why didn't you?" Chen considered the question carefully. "Because destruction is easy. Coexistence is harder, but ultimately more valuable. We disabled your ships without casualties to demonstrate that we have the power to destroy, but choose not to." Zexar was silent for a moment. "There is something you should know, Captain. We are not alone in this galaxy, and not all species are as restrained as either of us. There are forces that would view your quantum technology as a prize worth any cost to acquire." "Are you offering an alliance, Counselor?" Chen asked, surprised. "Not yet," Zexar replied. "But perhaps in time, mutual survival will demand it. We misjudged humanity based on incomplete information. I will not make that mistake again." 3 weeks later, the Valiant and its sister ships returned to Earth orbit as heroes. Captain Chen stood in Admiral Kowalski's office at Earth Defense Headquarters, looking out at the blue planet below. "The Arctian data has been analyzed," Kowalski said, joining her at the window. "Their star charts alone have expanded our known galaxy by 30%. And they weren't lying about other species out there, some considerably more aggressive than the Arctians." Chen nodded slowly. So our first contact nearly started a war, but may have prevented a larger one. That's the official position of Earth Command. Kowalski confirmed. The diplomatic corps is already preparing for formal negotiations with the Arxian Conclave. They're sending their best team, headed by you. Chen turned in surprise. Admiral. Kowalski handed her a data tablet. Congratulations, Commodore Chen. The Valiant and 3 additional ships will form the core of our new First Contact Division. Your orders are to establish a working relationship with the Arxians and assess these other species they've warned us about. Chen accepted the tablet, feeling the weight of responsibility it represented. Humanity had survived its first encounter with an alien civilization, showing both strength and restraint. But she knew this was just the beginning. "We'll be ready, Admiral," she said. As the newly promoted Commodore Chen left headquarters, she looked up at the stars, now knowing they held both promise and peril. Humanity had proven itself capable of standing tall among the cosmos. Whatever came next, they would face it together, not just as survivors, but as a force to be reckoned with. The galaxy had just discovered that humans were not to be underestimated, and that was a lesson that would echo across the stars.